I'm standing in my small apartment in Portland, holding my 3-year-old daughter Emma while she colors a picture of our cat. My hands are still shaking from the phone call I got an hour ago. The hospital records department just sent my mother something she'd hidden from me for years. Something that changes everything about the night she threw me out when I was 17 and pregnant. My mother, Patricia Chin, stood in our Denver driveway that cold March night and told me I was a disgrace. She said keeping my baby was selfish and stupid. She said I was ruining my life and embarrassing our family. Then she locked the door behind me with my suitcase on the porch. But what I just learned explains everything. The real reason she wanted me to give up my baby had nothing to do with my future or our family's reputation. It had everything to do with a secret she'd been keeping since before I was born. Before we dive in, I need you to understand what kind of mother Patricia Chen was. She ran our household like a military operation. Dinner was at 6:30 every night. Homework was checked at 7:15. Lights out at 9:30, no exceptions. My older brother Michael got away with more, but I was held to impossible standards. She worked as a hospital administrator at Denver General. She was respected, feared even. Doctors didn't question her decisions. Nurses jumped when she walked by. At home, she was the same way. My father, Robert, was a high school history teacher who'd learned long ago that arguing with Patricia was pointless. I was a good kid. Honor roll every semester. Debate team captain. I volunteered at the animal shelter every Saturday. I had plans for college, plans for law school. I was going to make my parents proud. Then I met Daniel Martinez at a debate tournament my junior year. He went to a school across town. He was smart and funny and treated me like I mattered. We started dating secretly because my mother had strict rules about boys. No dating until college, she'd said 100 times. Daniel and I were careful. We were safe. But sometimes life happens anyway. I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks before my 18th birthday. I was 17, terrified, and had no idea how to tell anyone. Daniel's family had just moved to California for his father's job. We'd broken up 2 months earlier when the distance felt like too much. I sat in my bedroom for 2 days, staring at the positive pregnancy test hidden in my desk drawer. I knew what my mother would say. I knew what she'd want me to do. But something inside me, something I couldn't explain, wanted this baby. I told my mother on a Tuesday evening after dinner. Michael was at basketball practice. My father was grading papers in his study. Mom was loading the dishwasher when I walked into the kitchen. She took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. I'm pregnant, I said. The words felt like rocks in my mouth. The plate she was holding slipped from her hands and shattered on the tile floor. She didn't move to clean it up. She just stared at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not anger. Something closer to panic. How far along? She asked. Her voice was deadly calm. About 8 weeks. Who's the father? Daniel. He moved to California. Does he know? Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. My mother turned away from me and gripped the counter so hard her knuckles turned white. She stood like that for a full minute before speaking. You'll have an abortion, she said. It wasn't a question or a suggestion. It was a command. I felt my whole body go cold. Mom, I don't want that. I want to keep the baby. You're 17 years old, Patricia snapped, spinning around to face me. You have your whole life ahead of you. College, law school, a career. A baby will destroy all of that. I can still go to college, I argued. Lots of people do it. Not in this family, she said. Her voice was getting louder now. I won't allow you to throw your life away on a mistake. This isn't a mistake, I said, my voice breaking. This is my baby. The next 2 weeks were hell. My mother scheduled an abortion appointment without asking me. She told me she'd already spoken to a doctor. She said it was all arranged. When I refused to go, she grounded me. Took my phone, my laptop, my car keys. She told Michael I was sick and kept me home from school. My father tried to talk to me once. He knocked on my bedroom door late one night and sat on the edge of my bed. Your mother's just worried about you, he said quietly. She wants what's best for your future. But what about what I want? I asked. He didn't have an answer. He just squeezed my hand and left. I called Daniel from our house phone when everyone was asleep. I told him everything. He was shocked, scared, but supportive. He said he'd help however he could. But he was 18, living with his parents in San Francisco, working at his uncle's restaurant. What could he really do? My mother's final ultimatum came on March 15th. I was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework when she put a folder in front of me. Inside were brochures for adoption agencies. This is your only option, she said. You'll finish this semester through homeschool. You'll have the baby quietly. You'll give it up for adoption. Then you'll go to college like nothing happened. I looked at her perfect face, her cold eyes, and something inside me broke. No, I said. I'm keeping my baby. Patricia's face turned red. She leaned down close to me and spoke in a voice I'll never forget. Then you're not my daughter anymore. Pack your things and get out of my house. I thought she was bluffing. I really did. But that night, she helped me pack a suitcase and drove me to the driveway. She handed me $500 and my birth certificate. "Don't come back until you're ready to be reasonable," she said. Then she went inside and locked the door. I stood in that driveway for 20 minutes before my father came out. He pressed another $300 into my hand and said he was sorry. He said my mother needed time to calm down. He said to call my Aunt Linda. Then he went back inside too. Aunt Linda was my mother's younger sister. She lived in Portland and worked as a baker. She'd always been the fun aunt, the one who sent birthday cards with $20 and told stories that made my mother purse her lips in disapproval. I called her from a gas station and told her everything. She bought me a bus ticket that same night. Linda picked me up at the Portland bus station at 6 in the morning. She took one look at my swollen eyes and didn't ask questions. She just hugged me tight and drove me to her small apartment. "You can stay as long as you need," she said. "We'll figure this out together." Portland became my home. Linda helped me enroll in an alternative high school for pregnant teens. I finished my senior year and graduated on time. I worked part-time at Linda's bakery, saving every penny for the baby. Linda took me to every doctor's appointment, held my hand during ultrasounds, and helped me pick out a crib at a thrift store. Daniel visited twice before Emma was born. He was trying his best, working 2 jobs to send money when he could. He wanted to be there, but his own family situation was complicated. We agreed to co-parent as best we could from different cities. He wasn't perfect, but he tried. Emma Rose was born on November 8th at Portland General Hospital. She weighed 7 pounds, 3 ounces, and had a full head of dark hair. When they placed her in my arms, I knew I'd made the right choice. Every sacrifice, every hard moment, it was all worth it for her. My mother sent one text message after Emma was born. "Congratulations on your mistake. I hope you're happy with your choice." I didn't respond. I blocked her number and focused on being the best mother I could be. My father called occasionally, always when my mother wasn't home. He'd ask how I was doing, how the baby was. But he never pushed me to come home or apologize. Michael reached out on Facebook when Emma was 6 months old. He said he missed me and wanted to meet his niece. He drove up to Portland twice that first year. He was good with Emma, bringing her toys and making her laugh. He told me that Mom refused to acknowledge Emma existed. She'd removed all my photos from the house and told relatives I was studying abroad. I built a life in Portland. I enrolled in community college and took night classes while Linda watched Emma. I got a job at a law firm as a file clerk. It wasn't law school, but it was a start. Emma started daycare at 2. She was bright and curious and loved everyone she met. Everything changed 3 months ago. Emma got sick with what I thought was a bad cold. Fever, cough, trouble breathing. I took her to the emergency room when her temperature hit 104. They admitted her immediately. Pneumonia, the doctor said. She'd need 4 antibiotics and monitoring. I stayed by her bedside for 5 days while she recovered. The nurses were amazing. They brought me blankets and coffee and told me I was doing great. On the 3rd day, a young doctor came in to check Emma's chart. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. She studied Emma's medical history form and frowned. "Is there any family history of respiratory issues?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "I don't have my complete medical records." The doctor made a note and left. But something about that question stuck with me. I'd always assumed I was healthy. My mother never mentioned any family medical problems. When Emma was discharged, I asked the hospital for copies of all her records. I wanted to keep everything organized in case she got sick again. The records clerk printed out a thick folder of paperwork. I took it home and filed it away without reading through it carefully. I was just relieved Emma was okay. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from Portland General Hospital. It was addressed to Patricia Chen at our old Denver address, but it had been forwarded to me. My mother must have still been listed as my emergency contact from when I was a minor. The envelope was marked Medical Records Department, urgent. I opened it. Inside was a copy of genetic test results from Emma's hospital admission. Standard procedure for pneumonia patients, apparently. But attached to it was another document. A genetic comparison report. And a note that said, per your 2006 request, we're sending any genetic matches found in our system. My hands started shaking as I read the report. Emma's genetic markers had been automatically compared against samples in the hospital's database. And there was a match. A close familial match. Not parent-child close, but aunt-niece close. The match was to a sample collected in 2006 from a patient named Sarah Chun, age 16. I read the name 3 times. Sarah Chun. I didn't know any Sarah Chun. My mother only had one sister, Linda. My father was an only child. Who was Sarah Chun and why did her DNA match my daughter's? I called the hospital immediately. I spoke to 3 different people before reaching someone in medical records who could help. I need to know about a patient named Sarah Chun, I said. I have a genetic report that shows she's related to my daughter. The woman put me on hold for 10 minutes. When she came back, her voice was careful. I can't give you patient information, she said. but I can tell you that Sarah Chun was a minor patient in 2006. Her legal guardian at the time was Patricia Chun. If you want more information, you'll need to contact Patricia Chen directly. I hung up the phone and stared at the wall. My mother was Sarah Chen's legal guardian in 2006. That was the year I turned 12. Why would my mother be the guardian of a teenage girl I'd never heard of? I called Linda. I asked her if she knew anyone named Sarah Chen. There was a long pause on the line. "Oh honey," Linda said softly. "I thought your mother would have told you by now." "Told me what?" Linda sighed. "Sarah was your sister. Your older sister. She was Patricia's first daughter." The story came out in pieces. Linda told me that Patricia had gotten pregnant when she was 16. The father was a boy from her high school who wanted nothing to do with her. Patricia's parents were strict and religious. They sent her to live with relatives in another state. She had the baby, a girl she named Sarah, and gave her up for adoption immediately. Patricia never talked about Sarah, Linda said. She was ashamed. She buried that whole part of her life and moved on. She met your father in college, got married, had you and Michael. None of us were supposed to mention Sarah ever again. But what happened in 2006? I asked. Why was Sarah in the hospital? Linda's voice got quiet. Sarah found Patricia. She tracked her down somehow. She was 16, the same age Patricia had been when she gave her up. She wanted to meet her birth mother. And Patricia, she just couldn't handle it. She refused to see her. Sarah got sick during that time. Some kind of respiratory infection. Patricia only agreed to be her guardian for medical purposes. Then Sarah disappeared again. I couldn't breathe. My mother had another daughter. A daughter she gave up and then rejected again when Sarah tried to reconnect. Suddenly, everything about my pregnancy made horrible sense. My mother wasn't worried about my future. She was worried about history repeating itself. She saw herself in me. A teenage girl pregnant and scared. And instead of supporting me, she tried to force me down the same path she'd taken. But there was more. If Sarah's DNA matched Emma's, that meant Sarah was my biological sister. Which meant Emma and I shared genetic markers that could be important for her medical care. I needed to find Sarah. I needed to know our family medical history. I needed to understand what my mother had hidden from all of us. I started searching online. Sarah Chun was a common name, but I had a birth year and a city to narrow it down. After 3 days of searching, I found her. Sarah Chun, age 33, living in Seattle. She worked as a social worker, specializing in adoption services. I sent Sarah a message through Facebook. I told her who I was. I told her about Emma and the genetic test. I explained that I'd just learned about her existence. I waited 3 agonizing days before she responded. I'd like to meet you, her message said. I've thought about you and Michael for years. I never knew if you knew I existed. We met at a coffee shop halfway between Portland and Seattle. Sarah looked like me. Same dark hair, same eyes, same smile. We sat across from each other, 2 strangers who were sisters, and talked for 4 hours. She told me about growing up in foster care after her adoptive parents died in a car accident when she was 8. She told me about searching for Patricia and finally finding her when she was 16. I thought she'd want to know me, Sarah said quietly. I thought blood meant something. But she looked at me like I was a ghost. She wouldn't even speak to me directly. Everything went through social workers. When I got pneumonia, she only came to the hospital to sign legal documents. Then she told me to never contact her again. Sarah and I exchanged medical histories. Respiratory issues ran in our family. So did anxiety and certain genetic markers that Emma's doctors should know about. Sarah gave me copies of everything she had. More importantly, she gave me something I didn't know I needed. A sister. A connection to someone who understood what it felt like to be rejected by Patricia Chun. I spent weeks deciding what to do with the information. Part of me wanted to call my mother and scream at her. To tell her I knew everything. To make her face what she'd done to both of her daughters. But another part of me just wanted to let it go. To focus on Emma and Sarah and the family we were building without her. Then Emma asked about her grandmother. She was 3 and starting to notice that other kids had grandparents. Why don't I have a grandma? She asked one night at bedtime. You have Aunt Linda, I said, kissing her forehead. She's like a grandma. But not a real one, Emma insisted. A real grandma like Sophie has. That's when I decided. I made copies of everything. The genetic test results. The hospital records. The documentation of Sarah's existence. I wrote a letter to my mother explaining what I'd learned. I didn't yell or accuse. I just stated facts. I told her that Emma deserved to know her medical history. I told her that Sarah existed and that she was a good person. I told her that she'd let shame and fear destroy 2 relationships with her daughters. I mailed the package to Denver. Then I called my father and told him everything. He was silent for a long time after I finished. I didn't know about Sarah, he finally said. Your mother never told me. She never told me any of it. He promised to make sure she got the package. He promised to call me after they talked. My mother called 3 days later. I was at the bakery helping Linda with the morning rush when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Patricia's voice was shaking. I need to see you, she said. I need to explain. There's nothing to explain, Mom. I read the records. I met Sarah. I know everything. Please, she said. The words sounded foreign in her mouth. My mother never said please. Give me a chance to tell you the truth. To tell you why I did what I did. We agreed to meet in Denver. Linda offered to watch Emma for the weekend. Sarah said she'd come with me for support. My father picked us up at the airport. He hugged me for a long time, then shook Sarah's hand with tears in his eyes. I'm sorry I didn't know about you, he told her. I would have tried to find you if I'd known. The house looked exactly the same. Same furniture, same pictures on the walls. Except now there were photos of me and Michael and Emma mixed in. My mother had added them back sometime in the last few months. Patricia was sitting in the living room when we walked in. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. When she saw Sarah, she started crying. She stood up but didn't come closer. Sarah, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Sarah didn't say anything. She just stood there, letting our mother look at her. I was 16, Patricia began. I was scared and alone. My parents told me I was a disgrace. They sent me away and told everyone I was visiting relatives. After Sarah was born, they made me sign the adoption papers. They said it was for the best. They said I'd ruin her life if I kept her. She wiped her eyes and continued. I tried to forget. I went to college, met your father, had you and Michael. I built this perfect life where that scared 16-year-old girl didn't exist. Then Sarah found me when she was 16. The same age I'd been. And I panicked. Looking at Sarah was like looking at my biggest failure, Patricia said. Every mistake I'd made, every choice I regretted. I couldn't face it. So I pushed her away. I told myself it was protecting her. But really, I was protecting myself. Then you got pregnant, Jenna, and I saw it happening again. History repeating. I couldn't handle it. I thought if I could make you give up the baby, I could somehow fix what I'd done wrong with Sarah, Patricia continued. I thought I could save you from my mistakes. But I was just making everything worse. I was letting my shame destroy another daughter. I stood there listening to my mother confess 40 years of guilt. Part of me wanted to stay angry. But another part of me saw her clearly for the first time. Not as a monster, but as a scared woman who'd never healed from her own trauma. Sarah spoke first. You don't get to fix the past by controlling someone else's present, she said quietly. You hurt me. You rejected me when I needed a mother most. Then you did the same thing to Jenna. You can apologize all you want, but that doesn't erase the damage. I know, Patricia whispered. I know I can't fix it. But I want to try. I want to be in your lives if you'll let me. I want to know Emma. I want to be the mother I should have been all along. I looked at Sarah. We talked about this possibility on the drive. We'd agreed that forgiveness wasn't something we owed anyone. It was something we gave ourselves when we were ready. I don't know if I can trust you again, Mom, I said. You threw me out when I needed you most. You kept Sarah's existence from me my entire life. Those aren't small things. But Emma deserves to know her grandmother, I continued. And Sarah deserves the chance to have a relationship with you if she wants it. So we can try. Slowly. With boundaries. But you have to do the work. Therapy, real therapy. You have to face why you did what you did. Patricia nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'll do whatever it takes, she promised. I'll go to therapy. I'll answer any questions you have. I'll earn your trust back. That was 3 months ago. My mother started therapy immediately. She's been sending me her session notes, proving she's actually doing the work. She comes to Portland once a month to visit Emma. She's awkward with her, unsure how to be a grandmother after years of pretending Emma didn't exist. But she's trying. Sarah visits too. We're slowly building something that looks like a family. Not the family we should have had, but the family we're creating together. My father retired early to spend more time helping my mother heal. Michael is working on his own relationship with Sarah. Last week, Emma asked me why Grandma Patricia cries every time she visits. I thought about how to explain 40 years of pain, shame, and regret to a 3-year-old. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, I told her. Big mistakes that hurt people they love. Grandma made mistakes a long time ago, and now she's trying to fix them. Can she? Emma asked, her big eyes trusting. I don't know, baby, I said honestly. But she's trying really hard. And that's what matters. I look at the genetic test results sometimes, the paper that changed everything. It's just DNA, just science. But it unlocked a family secret that had poisoned 3 generations. Sometimes I'm angry at my mother for all the years we lost. Sometimes I'm sad for the scared 16-year-old girl she was. Mostly, I'm grateful. Grateful for Emma, for Sarah, for the truth finally coming out. Grateful that my daughter will grow up knowing that family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. Even when you're scared. even when you've failed before. It's about trying again. Please like and subscribe for more exciting stories like this. Let me know in the comments section if my story resonates with you and where you are watching from. I would like to hear from you. Thank you for watching. See you soon.